This 911 Strong podcast is brought to you by our partners at the Police Credit Union of California.
As a financial institution founded by law enforcement for law enforcement and their families over 65 years ago, they have the experience and understanding to help you with all your financial needs,
including exclusive products designed specifically for law enforcement professionals. To become a member today, visit thepolicecu.org. That's the police, the letter C, and the letter U.org.
Or call 800-222-1391 and tell them you heard about them from the 911 Strong podcast.
Station to all units.
Prepare to copy.
You're listening to the 911 Strong podcast.
Don't act like I never told you.
With Aram and Kristen, bringing you stimulating discussion.
No, I like the sound of that.
An entertaining conversation.
And now, here's Kristen and Aram.
Hey friends, welcome back to the 911 Strong podcast. I am Aram Choe, and with me, as always, is America's favorite dispatcher Kristen. What's up, Kristen?
Oh my gosh, you're laying it on thick already. I'm okay.
No,
How are you?
This is how I greet you all the time.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's some enthusiasm today.
You know, when I walk into the dispatch room when you're working, who's the only person I beeline to and say hello to?
You would go to my area because I sit directly in front of the candy aisle or candy
That
table.
may be true. I do go there for two reasons. I do go there to get candy, but you know, you're not just America's favorite dispatcher. You're Aram Choe's favorite dispatcher. So I couldn't say that. And all the other dispatchers in there too are very good. They're friends of mine as well. But come on, I don't spend nearly as much time with them as I do you.
That's true. I'll give you that.
Not that they want to spend time with you. You're the only one crazy enough to tolerate me. So that's
true too.
Yeah. So what else is new? I heard you're going through the Joe Biden. You think you might be sick again?
I am, but I'm not quadruple vaxxed and boosted or anything. So I don't know what I have, but it's just a cough that won't go away.
You have the pox.
No, I don't think I'd be getting that one. I think I'm safe from that one.
I don't even know. I've seen different things, and admittedly, I don't watch the news, and I get a lot of my news from social media if it pops up. But there's a lot of misconceptions about monkeypox, and it reminds me of when HIV and AIDS first came out. They're trying to peg it to one sexual orientation group. But how is that possible? I mean, I heard it's transmitted through sexual acts.
Yes.
Last I checked, the stuff that males do to each other or females do to each other, males and hetero people can do to each other.
Yeah.
So that's not what parents. This is not what this episode is about. This is just random thoughts.
Yeah, but it's definitely not
misconceptions
that.
Out there.
It's definitely not that. I could say that for a fact.
Yeah.
So,
well, there's a lot of misconceptions out there. And speaking of misconceptions, our profession has a lot of misconceptions. And that's what today's episode is about. On episode 71 of the 911 Strong podcast, we're talking about how we cops, people that work in law enforcement, are supposed to be the example. But are we guilty of breaking our own rules? Sometimes we are.
At times.
At times, yeah. The one that comes to my mind, and it's not just cops that are guilty of this. This is everybody, especially if you live in the Southwest where the sun is intense and you own a car, tinting windows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In California, the law says you can tint your rear windows, but you can't apply any kind of tint film on your front driver's side or passenger side windows, let alone your windshield. I've seen that. That's ridiculous. I mean, I don't know how people see at night.
Yeah, I don't either. That's never made any sense to me.
But a lot of cops do it. I know
their front windshield too.
I've seen it. Yeah. Nobody at my department,
really?
just to avoid any potential litigation. I've never seen anybody at my department, but I travel the country and I see a lot of police stations, and when I go to the police parking lot, I've seen some front tinted windows. And granted, they might be department cars, it might be undercover cars where that sort of surveillance film is needed and that's permissible. But I know there's some cops out there that tint their front driver's side and passenger side windows.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, that. I thought you meant the front windshield.
No, I did, but I'm trying to avoid talking about that even further. So.
Oh, okay. Sorry, switching gears. Okay.
But no, it's true. As innocent as tinting your front windows might be, I think it's pretty sad when cops give tickets for that, because
Yes.
they're guilty of it as well. And everybody, their moms have window tint, their wives have window tint. I understand using it as a tool to pull people over, because we use the vehicle code for everything, and I don't care how off the dealership stock your car is. A good, well-trained motor officer can find a PC to pull you over, because the vehicle code is broad and it covers everything. Even the new Mustangs coming off the lot, new Mustangs and like the Hellcat Challengers and Chargers, their exhaust is factory, but it's super loud. It exceeds the decibel count. So yeah, they can get pulled over if they want. But I think it's pretty sad when officers give tickets. If you're going to be the example, you need to be by the book, and nobody's by the book. Everybody gets away with. I mean, people violate policy all the time. Our women are supposed to keep their hair off the collar, but how many women do you see when patrol officers walking around with ponytails that touch the back of their shirt, right?
Yeah.
So some people might view them as ticky tack, and that's exactly. I think the window tint one is ticky tack. I think the no front plate one is ticky tack. But don't be giving people tickets if you are of the same mindset. I think that's pretty.
Don't be a hypocrite.
Exactly. That's what I'm looking for. Hypocrite.
But I will play devil's advocate and say, perhaps they use that PC to pull them over, right?
Yeah.
And then they weren't going to give them a ticket if there was nothing like of value or worth to give them a ticket for, right?
Sure.
But then they start mouthing off and giving them a bunch of crap and talking, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So maybe they're like, okay, well, I wasn't going to give you one, but now I'm going to give you this Mickey Mouse fix-it ticket anyways.
Right.
It's not going to cost you anything, but it's going to be a pain in your butt.
Yeah. People can absolutely talk their way into getting tickets. It's happened. The scenario you just said is exactly what I've been through. I hate writing tickets. I hate going to court, because court is off duty a lot of times. So for any civilians listening out there, you can absolutely walk away from getting a ticket if you're cordial, compliant, and non-challenging. You may be right. You might have a doctor's note, because there are people that have doctor's notes for front window tint and front windshield tint. They have a UV film that you can put on that technically violates the vehicle code. Any kind of film coating violates the vehicle code on the front windshield. But if you can get a doctor's excuse, that's fine. You send that to the DMV, and the DMV gives you a little certificate. So, but you may not get to that opportunity if you are mouthing off to the officer saying, I have a right.
Yeah.
Hey, officer, I know this looks bad, but I have a note from the DMV and my doctor. Oh, okay. Well, that's different. And, then you don't have to prove your innocence at court.
Yes.
It's kind of bold for cops to have that kind of power,
huh? Yeah. Right. But I mean, again, I mean, I hate getting pulled over, but like if we weren't doing something wrong, we wouldn't have been pulled over anyways.
Yeah. Do you get pulled over a lot?
No, I haven't in a long time.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I got pulled over. I remember your last time getting pulled over.
The last time I got pulled over? What do you mean?
You and Danny, you guys were, we were all in Utah.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
In our California trucks with our California diesels and our California plates. We're just targets. The thing about it is state troopers will look for cars out of state because they know we're not familiar with the laws and familiar with their traffic customs, I guess. But yeah, it seems like anytime I've seen my friends get pulled over, it's out of state. It's never here.
Yeah. Yeah. But we got out of that one.
Yeah.
Danny was nice and cordial.
How'd you guys go? Oh, okay. Being nice and cordial.
Yes.
I think a lot of people expect that there to be some sort of professional courtesy.
Not with highway troopers.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, even here in California, highway patrol, I'm actually writing this part in my book right now that I've been writing for the last, 3 years. I think you'll be happy to know I'm 10,000 words in.
There you go.
So
that's something.
I'm a fifth of the way through, but I'm writing about my experience of getting hired. And one of the parts of getting hired was going through a cattle call of a physical agility test and oral interview and stuff like that. And so I get through the physical agility test. I go to my car to change, and I go into this line in the gym, and there's like all these partitions. kind of like in hospital rooms where they have the aluminum frame partitions with the curtains.
Mm-hmm.
They had that, and they had makeshift interview rooms in this gym, and they must have been like 10 different interview panels. So I sit down, give them my little paper, and they're all right, Aram, blah, blah, blah. And they go through their questions. And one of the questions was, if you pulled over a car for speeding and you realized it's your mom, would you give her a ticket? And I'm thinking, I'm 22. In my head, I'm thinking, heck no. If I pulled over my friends, I wouldn't give them a ticket. But I'm thinking they want to hear an answer that is, full of integrity and stuff like that. So I said, I guess if my mom was doing something egregious and really dangerous, I would give her a ticket. And the guy drops his pen, looks up at me and says, would you give your own mom a ticket? I said, well, if I'm being honest, I don't want to. So we'll just say that because that's the right answer. Because the answer you just gave would be the right answer if you're interviewing for the highway patrol. So it's completely, it's I don't know. I guess the reputation of state troopers and highway patrol is that they're more rigid and less lenient, I suppose. And that's been my experience.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah, for
Sorry,
sure.
guys.
All right. Well, that kind of leads us into speeding. That's another thing cops seem to think they can get away with. I've seen it. Even at my own agency, we've had to have a talking to one of our officers for driving like an a-hole, basically. And this is not on duty. This is off duty. People don't realize that the cars they drive are recognized by other employees. And sometimes the other employees are supervisors and they might live in the same neighborhood. And they're like, dude, this guy was driving like an a-hole through the parking lot. You're his boss, you're his supervisor, talk to him. So you talk to him and then he does it again. I mean, sometimes lessons like that are learned when they get into something, that they regret.
Yep, definitely.
What? But
we all speed though.
I get it. And at work, that's what we do, right? We zoom from call to call. We go in pursuits. We're going code 3. So I guess sometimes, especially if you've been doing this job a long time, I've heard officers say, yeah, it's just, I've been driving 12 and a half hours fast. It's just hard for me to turn that off when I'm off duty. And I'm like,
yeah, I
don't know. I think driving fast probably is maybe 15% of the time of your shift. I think the other 85% of the time you're cruising, you're patrolling.
Well, I see how quick they get to calls and it's not fast.
No, you're exactly right. But well, speaking of fast, I have to buy in. Our department recently allowed us to get any weapon we want, right? Mm-hmm. Before they used to issue us our firearms. Well, they still do, but now they've opened it up to where we can carry any firearm.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And so of course, where am I gonna get my firearm? I'm gonna go to the ProForce because they're the best.
Yeah.
But I was like, the old me about a year ago would have dreaded it because during COVID time, they made everybody wait in line. They had to wait outside. They had very little staff. You had to pull a number, kind of like when you go to the deli counter at the store, you pull the number and they'd literally say, number 24, you'd walk in and you better know what you want because you better be browsing while you're waiting. Well, that's all changed over at ProForce. Mikey, the general manager over there, she said they've hired a bunch of new people, lots of ex-military and law enforcement. So these guys are people that know what they're talking about. So I honestly have narrowed down my gun to about 3 different models. I think I want to carry the SIG P320, but I'm also looking at the Staccato because thanks to your husband.
Yeah.
So
I know.
When I go down there, I know they carry all the major brands. So I'm going to make sure I have my questions pre-written. I'm going to test drive these guns, and they allow you to do all that because they trust the people that walk in there, the customers, no firearms, because they only allow law enforcement, EMS personnel, people that deal with firearms. So it's not like you go to, it's not like you go to, I don't know, one of those stores that sells fishing rods and beef jerky makers. And it's like, you hope they know what is this a 9mm? Oh, what's a 9? Yeah, no. ProForce is it. So ProForce and Brea is where I'm going to be at. And another cool thing that our department did, not that I'm Mr. Segway here, is
it's okay.
I'm gonna have to start ordering short sleeve shirts. You want to know why?
Why?
They just allowed uniform personnel to expose tattoos.
I know. I heard that's coming down the line.
It happened yesterday. The announcement came out. The memo was
Oh.
sent out to all personnel. And so, yeah, I don't know. I haven't owned a short sleeve uniform shirt
Nice.
in like 15 years. So,
Yeah, I'm excited for you guys. I mean,
you guys too. You can be sleeved
well, yeah,
out, Kristen.
I could be. I am going to get one soon.
You
I
are?
decided I'm going to get one on the inside of my bicep.
Oh,
Yeah.
like Danny?
No, I got the one like Danny on the back of my upper back, lower neck area.
No, I just meant in that area. Like
Oh,
Danny
yeah,
has.
in that area, like Danny.
Are you going to finally get the 911 Strong podcast logo tattooed on you?
I figured I was going to get that one on my ankle because I heard the cheesy ones are on the ankle. But
you don't want to go there.
I made a tattoo. Maybe I'll debut it. Maybe I won't. It's for me. So I'll just, that's where I'm going to put it.
You know, I like that. Danny handed me one of the stickers that you made with the fallen officers badge numbers on it. I like that as a tattoo idea. I might put that somewhere on me.
That'd be kind of cool. Yeah. I mean, I got that one. I made a symbol for myself, and it's more of a, so the one Aram's talking about, it has their badge numbers, but it has the, I guess it would be like the Roman helmet.
Yeah. The Spartan helmet.
The Spartan helmet.
Mm-hmm.
So for warriors, right?
Yeah.
So the one that I think I decided on, similar to the sticker, but a little bit different. It's like 3 triangles, and it's like a Celtic warrior, symbol.
Yeah.
And it just means, the warriors that were killed in battle.
Okay.
And it also represents, heaven, earth, and hell.
Oh, yeah.
So anyhow, so I think that's what I'm going to get, along with some other stuff molded into it. But yeah.
I don't have any tattoos on the front part of my torso. Everything's on my arm or leg, and I was thinking that'd be a good one to put right across my chest, right over my heart. So I might do that. All right, back to our episode. Man, we suck.
Well, we're talking about tattoos being on policy, so I know not a lot of agencies have it, but there's a lot that do.
You're right. And some of the agencies that don't have it in their policy, a lot of guys get away with it. You know, they might have something that's above their elbow. So you see 1 or 2 inches sticking out of the bottom of their shirt. Mm-hmm. That's technically a violation of policy, but I think it's a stupid rule. I mean, in a lot of the cities where police officers are present, it's not uncommon to see a civilian with a tattoo. And I think for me, I've used that as a talking point. You know, some of these guys are like, "Oh, you only pulled me over because I have a shaved head and my arms are tattooed." And so I'll unbutton my cuff and I'll show them my arms. I'm like, and obviously I'm bald. I'm like, I have a shaved head. I've got tattoos and I don't get pulled over. Why do you think that is? And I said, well, because I'm not driving around like an a-hole. So that's a perfect example. It's not how you look. It's your actions.
Your demeanor. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's your actions that do that. So, I mean, it's not like we're going out there targeting people that have tattoos and shaved heads. Cause if we did, that's half the cops at our department.
Yeah.
You know,
that's true.
It's your demeanor. If you're bumping music obnoxiously loud, if you've got an annoying exhaust, if you're flicking cigarettes out the window, that's going to draw attention to you. It's not your tattoo and shaved head. Nobody is that impressed with you. It's so
if you honk at them for a cop passing you and yell at them. We had one of our officers was saying that he was going through traffic and paid attention, I guess, that the tags were expired, but didn't feel like pulling him over, kept going. Well, as he passed him, the guy started honking at him and like yelling at him because he went through traffic.
All right.
And so then the officer's like, okay, you want attention. So slow down, and everything was expired. I think well over a year, 2 years, like didn't have a driver's license, like everything. So now his car got towed, whereas like, just mind your business. Don't just pay attention to the driving laws. Don't, draw attention to yourself. And his day could have gone completely differently.
Yeah. I think people are feeling more emboldened to point flaws out on cops. And we're going to actually discuss that in episode 72 of the 911 Strong podcast, public sentiment towards police. So we'll touch on that in the next episode. All right, moving on to our current list of breaking our own rules. We talked about tinting windows and speeding. How about this one? This one, it confuses a lot of people. Talking and texting while driving.
Yeah.
You've never done that, right, Kristen?
Never. Why would I
Uh-huh.
do something like that?
It's
Yeah,
you see
I
people
do.
do it. It's
Everybody does it.
yeah, but it doesn't look good, right? It doesn't it's not a good look when you see a cop do it, right? And they're
Yes.
in uniform, they're supposed to be enforcing laws, they're driving. You're at a
Mhm.
stoplight and you see their head pointing down. You know what they're doing. They're not checking for the coffee stains on their pants or texting on their phone.
Yeah.
It just looks bad. And I had to address it to one of my guys when I was a patrol officer, patrol sergeant. And he said, Sarge, we're exempt. What a load of baloney. We're exempt if it's in the official capacity of what we're
Right.
doing.
Right.
And our policy says, if at all possible, pull over and do it. It's not
Mhm.
emergent. There's
Yeah.
never a situation where you have to talk about work and it's emergent and it's going to come through text. If it's emergent, it's going to go over the radio.
Yes.
So don't give me that baloney. It doesn't look good. If you're a patrol officer listening right now and talking and texting is that important, pull over, go into a parking lot.
Yeah.
You do it anyway to eat your food. Do it over to talk. It's not that important.
Yeah. And it's not fun to like try to have that conversation with the civilians when they call it in, because they do to rat you guys out all the time.
Do they?
Yes.
What
Yes.
they literally call just to dime us off?
Yeah. Oh yeah. They do. And then we have to have that conversation, be like, well, they're allowed to, if obviously we know, like,
Yeah.
same what you just explained, but
Yeah.
we have to tell them that over the phone, and then we get yelled at or cursed out at and
Yeah.
told why everybody hates us.
Yeah, the optics, and we're not helping ourselves. The optics look bad, and that's probably something that we'll chat more about in the next episode. But yeah, it doesn't look good.
Mhm.
All right, another thing that doesn't look good, and this is a real serious one, and we're getting to the more serious things that we know cops have gotten in trouble for.
Mhm.
And this is something that bugs the crap out of me because my mom was a victim of spousal abuse, but
Mhm.
spousal abuse. It's tough when you go to a domestic violence call and it's an off-duty cop.
Yeah.
I've had to do that a few times in our city, not from our own officers. We have a number of officers that work for other departments that live in our city. But I remember going to a call, a female said, the call comment said they were off duty. Both were off duty cops. The other one was her supervisor, who had his off duty police vehicle. And I guess he was like on a special weapons team and he had all his special weapon stuff. So that was articulated. He has his rifle, he has his ballistic vest, and that he's intoxicated and he won't leave the premises. So we all go there and like, oh my gosh, we have a drunk cop who's seeing red right now, and he's got his vest, helmet, and rifle. So we're prepared for the worst. I hate that. Don't put us in that position. We don't. If you're a cop and you've got dependency issues and you've got relationship issues, be smart about it. Don't put yourself in a situation, and then and what's the advice we tell civilians? Record everything, right? Because now it's his word versus her word and her word versus his word. If you record the stuff, like you would do when you see a bad fight or accident at the bar or on the street, you don't think twice about pulling out your camera phone. But in situations like this, defend yourself, pull out your camera phone. That's going to diffuse the situation a lot. That's going to make the other person calm down because they don't want to look like an idiot on the phone. Because they'll know you use it against them. But man, sometimes cops are the worst suspects and victims. They don't even take their own advice.
Yep. I agree with that one.
Have you ever gotten calls in dispatch where it was a sworn person involved?
Yeah, I think I remember the one that you're talking about. I think there was another one where kids were involved, or maybe that was the same one.
No, that was a different one.
Okay, where we had to check the schools and, so it elevates the risk too, because, like you feel bad because it's one of your own, but at the same time, it's like, come on, don't put us in this position because you're going to get arrested or it's going to turn out worse. You're putting your kids through all this. You're going to have just everybody gets affected. Your kids are going to remember it. They're going to remember cops coming. They're going to remember that you're an officer, and it's going to really taint their view on the what's the word I'm looking for? On our
profession,
our career, our profession, and everything too, and it's just, it could be a really dangerous thing. And then you're going to have to deal with it at work. You're going to have to deal with our guys, you're going to be, and there's been a few that we've arrested too. And then
Yeah.
Like your supervisors have to come and like
Oh, this
everybody
one.
sees you, and it's embarrassing too. Like it's just really bad. Like I don't know. I mean, I know everybody makes their mistakes and sometimes that's their wake up call, but I mean, they know better.
Yeah, we had when I was on patrol, I came on day shift, and the graveyard shift had responded to a vehicle that put itself on the sidewalk, and hanging in the back was another agency's uniform. And so he was drunk. He was a cop. He was drunk. They arrested him and they called his boss. Well, this was a smaller agency that's responsible for the ports. I won't say where or who it is, but you can kind of dime that off. So they're an important agency, but they're very small. And he got arrested for DUI.
Mm-hmm.
So a lieutenant and commander from that department came to our agency. They're sitting in the sergeant's office. I report in for beginning of my shift, and we take it over. So now, and the commander and the lieutenant get there probably 5 minutes before I do. So now I'm dealing with them, and we're having a very cordial conversation. They're being very apologetic. I think they're embarrassed, and we get through it. And we cite him out and release him to them. And I'm sure they went through their thing administratively. So about 6 months later, I'm testing for lieutenant, and we have an oral panel of outside captains and commanders or whatever. And guess who's sitting there? The commander from that agency. And she was not looking at me like, oh, hey, I remember you. She looked at me like, oh, I remember you. And I'm like, I didn't even arrest him. I didn't do anything. But she kind of, I think it was more of a reflection on what our agency did to her man. But I'm like, take responsibility where it should be. It should be on her man.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it was a second. She was part of my second oral. We had two different oral panels, and then the chief's interview. She was part of the second one. She was there with two school board members, and I did well on the one with all captains. And then when I went in there, she didn't score me very good. So,
oh gosh,
whatever.
Well, there's that problem with their agency then.
Yeah,
maybe they allow a lot of that.
Yeah. Well, anyway, speaking of workplace issues, one of the other things that cops do as far as breaking our own rules is workplace abuse. Sometimes it's color of authority, and it could be as little as stealing items. We've had that, or my old agency I used to work at. I worked in a jail, a very large jail, and we had employees bringing in cigarettes, which may not be a big deal to you, but it's contraband. Cigarettes aren't allowed in the jails. Inmates aren't allowed to have them, and so a single cigarette goes for like $10 in the jail. So these corrupt officials were making money, making lots of money. And then they were also doing it at the request of the Mexican mafia or, other organized crime, because it doesn't just go to everybody. They don't go to individuals and say, hey, I'm the man you get your cigarette from. No, it goes to a shot caller, and the shot caller taxes everybody else. So these guys get taxed themselves, and then they do it. Now they've done something that compromised their integrity and their position, and now they're locked in, kind of like Rafael Perez. He's locked in with Biggie Smalls and that syndicate over there, and look where he's at now. Actually, he's in federal protective custody now.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, there's actually a book that talks about. It was an LAPD officer that was part of the investigation that talks about the lives of these guys that were involved afterwards. We should probably get a hold of them and bring them on. That's an interesting conversation.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah. But yeah, that doesn't look, obviously stealing is bad. So
yeah.
But yeah, that's about it. If you're a young cop and you think of doing something that might be of advantage to you that is in the gray area, well, it never looks good. Being in the gray is not a good look for anybody. It compromises your integrity, and it puts you down a slippery slope. Because if you think, hey, I got away with taking some paper clips, or I need a ream of paper, and we all know our records department has stacks and stacks of paper. I'm just gonna take a thing of paper. Well, that's stealing. That's stealing, and that's gonna be develop into something.
You just keep pushing the envelope further and further.
Yeah. Exactly. All right. Any final thoughts, Dispatcher Kristen?
Don't be a hypocrite.
Yeah. Don't be a hypocrite.
Just don't be a hypocrite.
Yeah. If you're going to work in a field where you have to enforce laws and be the example of integrity, and you can't control yourself, then you need to see your way out.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And we're going to see our way out. This is the end of episode 71 of the 911 Strong. 71 episodes in. We're close to 100.
We are.
Awesome. All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for listening. We're going to head out, and we'll catch you next time on the 911 Strong podcast. For Dispatcher Kristen, I'm Aram Choe, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.